Hello, hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art, and this is our final crafting video for this evening as part of our March-April catalog launch party. I hope you have seen the games that I've been posting, and I will be reposting the shopping links and the catalog links so that you'll have those nice and handy. And also, I know some of you have messaged me the answers to some of your games. Don't worry, I will get to them. I've just been a little busy over the last 4.5 hours, so I haven't had a chance to indicate whether I've gotten your messages or not, but I will do that after we're done our crafting video this evening. And if you would like to get in on the launch party shipping savings, you'll want to put your order in before midnight Eastern Standard Time tonight. Oh, I've got hiccups. I took a drink just as I was starting the video, and now I've got the hiccups. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. I see Joanne's here. Hello, Joanne. And if you're watching later on replay, you can say replay. We have been going through the March-April catalog that just launched today along with Cardstock Carnival. It's a good time to stock up on those essential crafting cardstock necessities, and because there's discounts, and that is awesome. Keep in mind when you're purchasing things on a sale that the shipping cost doesn't change. So your shipping is based on the full retail price, because even though the price for the item was reduced, the weight and size of the item did not shrink. So the shipping costs the same, even though your price is less. Does that make sense? So don't be shocked when the shipping seems more than you think it should be, because it's based on the original price because it's the same size. Okay, so we're going to be jumping in here, and I'm going to be showing you one of my, one of the stamp sets that I was excited about. One of my questions in one of the games was, now that you've seen all the stamp sets in the catalog, which one's your favorite? So this has to be one of my favorites just because it tickles my funny bone and I like the snails. So we're going to be creating this evening with the Happy Snail Trails stamp set. And I was inspired to make this card by a fellow close to my heart maker named Becca Whitham, who posted the idea for this card on the maker page a little while ago. And we're also going to be using some mix-in pattern paper on this card. And we're going to be using a die cut from our stash, which is this one here. It's no longer available. It's a stitched rectangle frame thin cut. We use stuff from our stash all the time. And so I'm going to be using that from my stash. I'm also going to be using this set of dies, which is the stitched fancy bracket thin cut, and I use these quite a bit, and these are still available on the website. So if you don't have one and you like the look of them, then you can add those to your order too before they're all sold out. So there's our stitched fancy brackets. We've had those for a little while. Okay, like all cards, we're going to start out with a card base, and I've decided to kind of keep in mind of my inspiration from Becca Whitham, and I'm going to be using a standard card size. So this is from our value pack cards and bases and envelopes. I'm going to fold it with the bump side of the score line to the inside. Just going to crease that down. There we go. And this card is actually created on the horizontal. So we're going to have the fold at the top and the opening at the bottom. Now, the first layer that I want to put on here is actually that mix-in paper that has the beautiful honey butter, sunny little icons all over them. And that was cut out using this largest stitched rectangle frame, and it's actually the inside bit. So I cut my paper just a little bit larger. Where did I put it? And I've lost it. I put it somewhere. I cut my paper. Oh, there it is. Just a little bit larger so that I would also get the frame. So you get the inside bit and the frame, and that way I can use this on another card. Instead of having it kind of haphazardly chopped off, I made it so that I had 2 usable pieces. So this is going to get attached to my card. Let me just grab my adhesive. Like so. I'm going to put an extra layer just because this is our first layer on our card. And take my backing off. You can see that lovely sage stripey pattern on the back side. And given that all the makers are going to be retired from Close to My Heart very shortly, we're going to be delving into our stash more and more, aren't we? So we're getting started today with that stitched rectangle frame. All right, now my next layer that I want to put on here, I decided to diverge from Becca's example and go with a different color, and that is going to be the Sapphire cardstock. And maybe I'll use the light side of the Sapphire for this. And I'm going to cut it out using the largest of this stitched fancy bracket thin cuts. And then just grab my machine here. And we'll do a couple things while we're here. When you're putting a die like this through your machine, this one is not quite as bad as a straight one. You want to put it in on an angle. So I'm going to just put it in on an angle, and that helps it run through a little nicer. It's better for the health of your machine and of your dies because you don't get that big chunk that you get when you hit the edge of a straight edge on a die. And there we go. There is our large one. And then I'm going to take the smaller of the 2 dies, this one here, and I'm going to cut out some white daisy. So again, just going to load that in my machine, run it through. Like so. So I do use thin cuts sometimes, just not usually for stamped images. But there we go. We've got our 2 frames, and I'm putting those dies right back on the magnetic sheet that they come on. And that way they don't get misplaced. I'm going to set this aside for a minute, and I'm going to set aside the Sapphire because we're going to work on this smaller one first. Now I want to do a couple things with this. First off, I want to bring in some honey butter, which is going to match that pattern paper that we've got in the background. And I've just realized my mat is all wonkadoodle. And I'm going to bring in my blending brush and a little bit of drawer liner to hold that from shifting all over the place. And we're going to do a little bit of inking, just sort of in the center of this piece of white daisy. And because I'm using my blending brush, it gets a nice soft glow. Nothing too crazy. So there we go with that honey butter. Set that aside. And then I want to, what do I want to do? I think I'm going to set this aside. I need to do some stamping, and I need to see where my pieces are going to land so I can stamp my sentiment on this, but I want to get my other pieces ready first. So I've got just a piece of white daisy cardstock. I'm going to grab my other Versamat so I can flip it over for a nice stamping surface. And then I've got my happy Snail Trails stamp. So exciting. I'm going to stamp out 4 different images on here. The first one I want to do is this little trio of mushrooms. I think that's so much fun when you're doing these little snails, is they're almost always got some mushrooms. The ones that we had in the autumn had little mushrooms and pumpkins with them. Super cute, brand new stamp, never been used. So that's also exciting about the catalog launch parties, is quite often when I'm doing the demonstrations, I'm using stamps that I have never used before, because you know what I do? I order them, I get them, and then I force myself to wait until the launch party, so you get to see me use them for the first time, and it's always so exciting, right? The excitement wears off, I think, if you do all the stuff ahead of time. So I'm going to go ahead and wash that stamp, and then I can stick it back on the carrier sheet. Now, when you're using new stamps especially, make sure you walk them off your blocks and off your carrier sheets. And then I want this cute little snail here that has the envelope in his mouth, or her mouth. Maybe it's a her. Its mouth. Its mouth. How's that? We'll call it an it. We're going to season this one too. I got to remind myself, they're brand new. Got to season them. And so you're just going to rub it on your hand or rub it on your arm. And that way your ink will sit nicely on it. There we go. Stamp that up. Ooh, so fun. So fun. Oh my gosh. You know how they, well, I don't know if you know, but when artists talk about, recording their albums and things, they always say, if you can get it in one take, that's the best, because the more times you do it, the excitement kind of comes off of it, and it doesn't sound as nice as it did on the first take. And I think it's kind of like that with stamping. The first time you stamp a particular image, that's the excitement, right? Because you've never done it before. Now we're going to stamp a couple more of these envelopes right there, just for a little extra embellishment. This is actually a really nice, simple card. It's not too hard. I guess that's why it's called simple, because it's not too hard. But it looks so cute. So we're going to just set that aside for now so we can grab it later for when we want to do our stamping of our sentiment. And, oops, got something stuck. Some little piece of glue. All right, so now that we've stamped those up, we want to do some coloring. And I'm going to start with my mushrooms. I'm going to use my Tri-Blend markers for this, and I've got my dark red blend, and I'm going to use the mid color to color in these mushrooms. I'm just going to color the tops of the mushrooms, like so. Just color them in. We're not going to do anything too terribly fancy today. Just like that. I don't know what it is. Like, in the wild, in nature, there are so many colors of mushrooms. And I've actually seen red mushrooms in nature. But you know what? Most of the mushrooms are kind of brown or beige or, and puffballs are really bright white. And yet when we do fun, cutesy little things, almost always you see red mushrooms, And then, you know what? While we've got our red out, I'm also going to color the little hearts. The little hearts. Might as well do it while we've got it going. And that will bring that color across. I find when I'm coloring, sorry, I hope my head is not in the way. I'm kind of leaning over. I find when I'm coloring for cards and things, I try to limit the number of colors that I use on the images. And I find that kind of helps, what am I trying to say? Make it look more cohesive. I just added a little bit of the dark there as well to give it a little bit of color. And then I'm coming in with the red-brown blend. I'm going to start it with the lightest color, just to color the stalks of these mushrooms. All the way down, like so. And this last one. And then I'm going to jump to the mid, create a little shadow line along the side of each of these. We're going with shadows on the left, like that. And then we've got some dull green here. We're going to go for the lightest dull green to add some color to our little bits of grass. There we go. And then on our snail, I thought I would use some vintage blue, and we'll just color in our snail with the vintage blue. That'll probably look nice with our sapphire. And I'm going to try and avoid coloring those little dots on the tummy. Try and maintain that detail all the way around. The quicker you color with these markers, the nicer it looks, I find. And you just kind of work in sections. And then we're going to switch to the mid. And we'll just add a little shadow under that envelope. A little shadow under here, like that. And a little shadow under where the shell is. There we go. And then for the shell, let's go back to our red brown. We'll do the same kind of thing like we did for the stalks on our mushrooms. We're going to add some color to the shell. We can even leave a little shiny spot if we want. If you just don't color in a spot, it makes a little shiny spot. And that's super fun. Let's do that again, if we can. It might not be in exactly the right spot, but you know, attempts were made. And we'll leave a little shiny spot on this one too. Just like that. Just a little sliver. Ta-da! And then we can switch to the mid and add a little bit of extra color to some of these, like that. Just to give our little guy a little extra texture, and also a little shadow at the bottom of each of these rows. There we go. Super cute. You can always add a little bit of that shine after the fact too with a gel pen if you want. Now to get a little bit of shadow on our under our mushrooms, we're just going to go ahead and color that with some ice gray, like that, and that, and that. And on our little envelope here, we'll add some ice gray around the edges, and we'll do the same on these larger envelopes, like that. Just where there would be a shadow. And my ice gray is running low. The marker is running low. Let's also add some along the bottom of the flap. There we go. Looks good. Super cute. Now we get to do the fun part. We're going to do the fussy cut. Oops. As I throw it across the room. First we'll do the rough, then we'll do the fussy. So a rough cut just gets rid of all our excess paper. This would be super cute if you had little tiny googly eyes too, if you were really trying to make it kind of a caricature. That would be fun. Let's go ahead. We're going to now fussy cut. We're going to pivot our paper, and we're going to leave a halo around the stamped image. And just go smoothly as we can. Now I'm pretty sure, yes, you can get this with thin cuts if you are so inclined. And there we go. Just around the last little bit of grass. Got too much paper sticking out there. It's making things awkward. There we go. There's our little mushrooms. And let's go ahead and do our snail. So cute. all around the shell. I was watching a little video the other day, and there's the gentleman who occasionally will find a shell, and he carries them with him when he walks on the beach. Like most people take shells and take them home, but he carries them along the beach till he finds hermit crabs that are sometimes not wearing a real shell. They're wearing, you know, a piece of plastic for a shell. And he'll kind of gently remove the chunk of plastic from the hermit crab and then put the, you know, 2 or 3 different shells down in front of the crab. And sure enough, the crab will choose one of the shells and off it goes with a brand new shell. I think that's kind of a fun thing that he does to help out the critters who kind of get a little confused with all our trash that we leave behind at the beach, and gets them back into what they should have. People are so smart. All right, all the way around our envelope. Now, this is not a hermit crab. This is a snail, but my brain was thinking about shells when I well, I was fussy cutting. There we go. So we've got all of our little bits now. So let's bring this back in. And what I want to do is kind of arrange this so I have an idea of where I want to put my stamp sentiment. And we're going to use the same one that Becca Whitham did, the You've Got Mail, because I think that's just so cute. Grab my stamp block. You've got mail. Ever watch that movie? It's a classic. Well, I'm not sure if it's a classic, but it's been around for a while. All right. And that, yep, that leaves me just a nice little bit of room there. Let's ink that up. I'm going to move it close to myself so I can see. And stamp that on there. You've got mail. It's looking good already, and it's not even stuck down. I suppose I could wash that stamp. Trying to turn over a new leaf by times. Washing my stamps, mostly just when they're brand new. After they get old, don't need to wash them. just let them percolate. All right, let's go ahead and add some adhesive on here. Now, I could pop this up, and I think Becca did. She popped up the snail. All right, let's stick that on. Now, I'm just thinking I might have over here just a very smidgeny bit of ye old from my stash thin foam dots, or 3D foam dots. We don't carry these anymore. They've been gone for a while, but I just remembered that I had them and they would work for this. So let's go ahead and add a couple little foam dots just to say we did, just on this one little snail. He's important, this little snail. Makes me smile. You gotta enjoy the things that make you smile, right? So there we go. We've popped them up a little bit. Let's take the backing off. I always liked these. I was sad when they discontinued them. We used to give these out a lot for prizes at their crops, didn't we? All right. Let's add our little snail on here. And it's kind of overlapping the mushrooms a little bit. Just like that. You've got mail. And then we can layer it up on top of our sapphire. Suppose I could have done that before I added it, but yeah. Sometimes we like to do things backwards, especially late at night. Who else has issues with doing things backwards when it gets later? I know, I'm not the only one. Usually you get to that point where you're like, you know, I probably should have quit crafting a few minutes ago. Because now things get a little wonkadoodle. But we shall persevere. And once I'm done this video, I'll be going through and posting the completed pictures from all the crafting today so that you'll be able to see that. I'll post the shopping link again so you'll be able to find that. Let's add on our little envelopes here. I think it's super cute that this snail has one in his mouth, and then we have these extras we can add on as well. There we go. And we're going to tuck one down here. When I saw Becca's example that she posted, I was like, oh, gotta do it. It's just super cute. In fact, a lot of people were posting very cute snail art. And so, you know, we're going to have fun with these. All right, then we're going to tuck another one, just kind of overlapping it there like that. And then to add a little bit of embellishment, because we can't walk away from a card without adding a bit of bling, I've got my red dots here. And, oh, lucky me. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have any more hearts, but I do. And I'm going to use the candy apple. They're not exactly the color, but that's okay. They're close enough. We're going to add a little heart there and a little heart there, just like that, just to add a little bit that kind of offsets what we did down here with our envelopes. But there we go. There's our completed card, inspired by the card that fellow close to my heart maker Becca Whitham posted on the maker page, using that mix-in paper for the background with those cute little sunshines, because every day is a sunshiny day when you get some happy mail in the mail. And then cut out with from our stash that stitch rectangle frame, and then also our stitched fancy brackets using the light side of Sapphire and some white daisy inking with the honey butter, then stamping out our embellishments from the happy Snail Trails, and also our sentiment, you've got mail, coloring them up with our Tri-Blend markers, and adding in a couple of red enamel dots. I think that is so cute. I hope you guys are inspired. And the heart on the envelope looks like lips on the snail. It does kind of, but if you look close, I think that's supposed to be the little smile right there, or his top lip or something. But you're right, it does kind of look like it was sealed with a kiss. You know, the swack that people used to put on the back of their envelopes to say it was sealed with a kiss. Super cute. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you guys enjoyed the catalog launch party, learning about some of the new goodies that are available. Again, if you want to put an order in before midnight tonight, you can get that shipping discount from me. And yeah, I think that's everything. I will be posting the photos and the links, and we will see you again soon. All right, toodaloo. Have a great night. Thanks for joining me. Bye.